Searching. Emacs can do searches for strings. A string is a group of con- contiguous characters, either forward through the text or backward through it. Searching for a string is a cursor motion command. It moves the cursor to the text place to the next place where that string appears. The Emacs search command is incremental. This means that the search happens while you type in the string to search for. The command to initiate a search is Control S for forward search and Control R for reverse search. But wait, don't try them now. When you type Control S, you will notice that the string I search appears as a prompt in the echo area. This tells you that Emacs is in what is called an incremental search, waiting for you to type the thing that you want to search for. Return terminates the search. Now type Control S to start a search. Slowly, one letter at a time, type the word cursor, pausing after you type each character to notice what happens to the cursor. Now you have searched for cursor once. Cursor. Now type Control S again to search for the next occurrence of cursor. Now type delete 4 times and see how the cursor moves. Type return to terminate the search. Did you see what happened? Emacs in an incremental search tries to go to the occurrence of the string that you have typed out so far. To go to the next occurrence of the cursor, just type Ctrl S again. If no such occurrence exists, Emacs beeps and tells you the search is currently failing. Ctrl G would also terminate the search. If you are in the middle of an incremental search and type delete, the search retreats to an earlier location. If you type delete just after you type Ctrl S to advance to the next occurrence of a search string, the delete moves the cursor back to an earlier occurrence. If there are no earlier occurrences, delete erases the last character of the search string. For instance, suppose you have typed C uh, to to search for the first occurrence of C. Now, if you type U, the cursor will move to the first occurrence of C. U. Now type delete. This erases the U from the search string, and the cursor moves back to the first occurrence of C. C U. Okay. If you are in the middle of the search and type a control or meta character, with a few exceptions, characters that are special in the search, such as Control S and Control R, the search is terminated. Entity middle. Okay, search is terminated. Control S starts a search that looks for any occurrence of the search string after the current cursor position. If you want to search for something earlier in the text, type Control R instead. Everything that we have said about Control S applies to Control R except the direction of the search is reversed. Multiple windows. One of the nice features of Emacs is that you can display more than one window on the screen at the same time. Notice that Emacs uses the term frame. Frames describes in the next section for what some other applications call windows. Emacs manual contains a glossary of Emacs terms. Move the cursor to this line and type Control L, Control L. Okay. Now type Control X to which splits the screen in two windows. Both windows display this tutorial. The editing cursor stays in the top window. Now type Control Meta V to scroll the bottom window. If you don't have a Meta key, type Escape Control V. Type Control X O for the other to move the cursor to the bottom window. Use Control V and then Meta V, the bottom window, to scroll it and keep reading these directions on the top window. Now type Control X O again to move the cursor back to the top window. The cursor is in the top window. On the top window is just where it was before. You can keep using the Control X O to switch between windows. The selected window where most editing takes place is the one with the prominent cursor which blinks when you are not typing. The other windows have their own cursor positions. If you are running Emacs in a graphical display, those cursors are drawn as unblinking hollow boxes. The command Control Meta V is very useful when you are editing the text in one window and using the other window just for reference. Without leaving the selected window, you can scroll the text in the other window with Control Meta V. Control Meta V is an example of control meta character. If you have a Meta or Alt key, you can type Control Meta V by holding down both Control and Meta while typing V. It does not matter whether Control or Meta comes first. Both of these keys act by modifying the characters you type. If you do not have a Meta key, you can use Escape instead. The order does not matter. You must type uh, Escape followed by Control V, because Control Escape V will not work. This is because Escape is a character on its own right, not a modified key. Type Control X1 in the top window to get rid of the bottom window, which I already did. Control X1. If you had typed Control X1 in the bottom window, that would get rid of the top one. Think of this command as keep just one window, the window that I am already in. Uh, you do not have to display the same buffer in both windows. If you use Ctrl X F to find a file in one window, the other window does not change. You can find the file in each window independently. Here is another way to use two windows to display two things. Type Ctrl X for Ctrl F followed by name of one of your files. Let's see. Create a file called tutorial. See the specified file appear in the bottom window. The cursor goes there. Okay. Control X. Type Control X O to go back to the top window. And Control X want to delete the bottom window. Control X4, Control F, tutorial, then Control X4, Control X1. Okay. Multiple frames. Emacs can also create multiple frames. A frame is what we call one collection of windows together with its menu, scroll bars, echo area, etc. On graphical displays, what Emacs call a frame is what most other applications call a window. Multiple graphical frames can be shown on the screen at the same time. On a text terminal, only one frame can be shown at a time. Type Ctrl X5 to see a new frame appear on your screen. Ctrl X5 2. Okay. You can do everything you did in your original frame in the new frame. There's nothing special about the first frame. About the first frame. Control X 50 selector. This moves the selected frame. Okay. You can also remove a frame by using the normal method provided by the graphical system, often clicking a button with X at the top corner of the frame. This one. If you remove the Emacs jobs last frame this way, that exists Emacs. Recursive editing levels. Sometimes you get into what's called a recursive editing level. This is indicated by square brackets in the mode line surrounding the parenthesis around the major mode name. For example, you might see fundamental instead of fundamental. To get out of this recursive editing, type escape, escape, escape. This is an all-purpose get-out command. You can use it for eliminating extra windows and getting out of mini buffer. Type meta X to get into mini buffer, then type escape, escape, escape to get out. We cannot use Ctrl G to get out of recursive editing level. This is because Ctrl G is used for cancelling commands and arguments within the recursive editing level. Get more help. In this tutorial, we have tried to supply just enough information to get you started using Emacs. There is so much available in Emacs that it will be impossible to explain it all here. However, you may want to learn more about Emacs since it has many other useful features. Emacs provides commands for reading documentation about Emacs commands. To these help commands all start with the character control H, which is called the help character. To use the help features, type control H character and then a character saying what kind of help you want. If you are really lost, type control H question mark and Emacs will tell you what kinds of help it can give. If you have typed control H and decide you don't want any help, just type control G to cancel it. If control H does not display a message about help at the bottom of the screen, try typing a F1 key or meta X help return instead. The most basic help feature is control H C. Type the control H character and C and a command character or sequence. The Emacs displays a very brief description of the command. Type control H C control P. Runs the previous line. The message should be something like this. Control P runs the command previous line. This tells you that the name of the function. Since function names are chosen to indicate what command is, they can serve as a brief documentation sufficient to remind you of commands you have already learned. Multi-character commands such as Control X, Control S, and Escape V instead of meta V. If you have no meta or alt key are also allowed after Control HC. To get more information about the command, use Control HK instead of Control HC. So Control uh, H Control HK Control P. Okay. This displays the documentation. Um, Control Beta V Control how to navigate. Okay. Control Meta V scrolls down. Control Meta Shift V scrolls up. Okay. So this window displays the documentation of the function as well as its name in the Emacs window. When you are finished reading the output, type Ctrl X1 to get rid of that window. Okay, type Ctrl X1 to get rid of that. You don't have to do this the right way. You can do some editing when referring to the help text and then type Control X1. Here are some other useful Control H command. Control X HX describes the command. You type the name of the command. Try typing Control HX previous line. Control HX previous implements the Control P command. This describes all the information Emacs has about the function which implements the Control P command. Control HX previous. Okay. Okay. Control X1. Similar command Control HV displays the documentation of the variables, including those whose values you can set to customize Emacs behavior. You need to type in the name of the variable when Emacs prompts for it. Control HA command approach. Type in a keyword and Emacs will list all the commands whose names contain that keyword. These commands can all be invoked with meta-x. For some commands, command approach will also list a sequence of one or more characters which runs the same command. Type Control HA file return. Okay. This displays in other window uh, a list of all the meta-x commands with file in their names. You will see character commands listed beside the corresponding command names such as Control XF beside find files. Find file. Yeah, Control XF. Type Control Meta V to scroll the help window. Do this a few times. Control X1 to delete the help window. Okay, Control HI read included manuals aka info. This command puts you in a special buffer called info where you can read manuals for the packages installed in your system. Type Emacs return to read the Emacs manual. If you have never used info before, type H and Emacs will take you in a guided tour of info mode facilities. Once you are through this tutorial, you should consult Emacs info manual as your primary documentation. Okay, more features. You can learn more about Emacs by reading its manual either as a printed book or inside Emacs. Use the help menu or type Control HR. Those two those two features that you may like especially are completion, which saves typing, and diode, which simplifies file handling. Completion is a way to avoid unnecessary typing. For instance, if you want to switch to messages buffer, you can type Control XB, stop M tab, and Emacs will fill in the rest of the buffer name as far as it can determine from what you have already typed. Completion also works for command names and file names. Completion is described in the Emacs manual in the note called completion. Diode enables you to list files in a directory and optionally its subdirectories. Move around that list, visit, rename, uh, delete, and otherwise operate on the files. Diet is described in Emacs manual, the mode called diet. The manual also describes many other Emacs features. Okay, conclusion. To exit, Emacs use Control X, Control C. This tutorial is meant to be understandable to all users. So if you found something unclear, don't sit and blame yourself. Complain. Copying. This tutorial descends from a long line of Emacs tutorials, starting with the one written by Stuart Craft for the original Emacs. This version of the tutorial is part of GNU Emacs. It's, it is copyrighted and comes with permission to distribute copies on certain conditions. Copyright C 1985, 1996, 1998, 2001, 2001 to 2022. Free Software Foundation Incorporated. This file is a part of GNU Emacs. GNU Emacs is a free software. You can redistribute it and or modify it under the terms of the GNU General Public License as published by the Free Software Foundation, either version 3 of the license or at your option, any later version. GNU Emacs is distributed in the hope that it will be useful but without any warranty, without even the implied warranty of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. See the GNU General Public License for more details. You should have received a copy of the GNU General Public License along with GNU Emacs. If not, see www.gnu.org licenses. Please read the file copying and then do give copies of GNU Emacs to your friends. Help stamp out software abstractionism ownership by using, writing, and sharing free software. And so that's it for Emacs tutorial.